This is the Storypunks podcast, a show where we talk about all the punks. So steampunk, dieselpunk, cyberpunk, and all the other punks. I'm your host, Cindy Grigg. This is episode 18, the continuation of my discussion with the Airship Ambassador, Kevin Steil. And I'm so excited to talk more about his projects as inspired by his Airship Ambassador persona. We began that in episode 17, so if you missed it, feel free to go check that out first, and this will continue with that discussion. Okay, so for this week's update, I'm going to do something a little different, and that's because I really want to share the love about this fantasticness, Henchs Perils. If you've not heard of this show, today is the day that needs to be your day. So what I saw today that inspired this, I saw this tweet right here. So this is a show that I listened to when I was putting together a piece of IKEA furniture, and it saw me through the entire process. So that's saying something, but I vividly remember putting together each part of that and just laughing my eyes out. I mean, it was so funny and so witty. So this is what it will look like in like podcast feeds or whatever. Henchs Perils in the 23rd century. It is so well written. I love the character names. They are so fantastic. Let's just look at this little bio, shall we? Henchs Perils in the 23rd century, the audio scientific adventures of Henchs Synonym and her aunt. So yes, you do need to demand your new monkey butler upgrade today, and it is just so much fun. And for those of you who do not know the show, who have not given it a listen, I would love to share the trailer with you and have you get a taste so that basically you can get hooked on this show. Henchs Perils in the 23rd Century by Gabby Hutchinson Crouch.
Henchs Perils in the 23rd Century. The year is 2217, and the fifth great steampunk revival chugs forever on. This month, we're all wearing VR goggles that perfectly recreate the actual vista in front of us, with the one alteration that now everybody is tipping a top hat in polite greeting. Join me as I recount my many adventures, gasp at the scientific know-how of my aunt, Dr. Erudition Synonym, respectfully at my terribly attractive fiancé, Happiness George, and shake your tiny fists at our evil nemesis, Professor Von Pun, and his beastly gentleman. Featuring monkey butlers. This thrilling moment.
Does anyone have any ketamine? I think I'm addicted to that now.
This.
Attention! This submarine full of lesbians is being drawn to its doom.
This hilarious character cameo from semi-retired national landmark Big Ben. Hans Zimmer.
I am Hans Zimmer.
And so much more.
Ula, I'm loving it.
Ula, I'm loving it indeed. Ask your iTunes or off-brand podcast provider to supply you with your free dose of Henchs Perils in the 23rd century today. If you enjoy it, tell your friends. If you don't enjoy it, well, tough. It's not all about you, Carol.
Okay, so you're pretty much hooked, right? Going back to what I saw and what incited this whole inclusion in my weekly update, when I saw this tweet this week, I wanted to do as they say. I wanted to go vote for Henchs Perils in the British Podcast Awards. So I figured, you know what, for this update, let's do this together. So the British Podcast Awards, I'll admit, I never knew there was such a thing. But here we go. So Listener's Choice Award, let's type in, this is a spelling test, Henchs Perils. Did I do it? So that's all you have to do. So yes, go to britishpodcastawards.com/vote to do this very simple thing. It takes 10 seconds or less. And you can feel great about helping this wonderful show, hopefully win the Listener's Choice Award. And there's also a chance to win 2 tickets to the awards by joining the mailing list of this award show. And you can do this through the 12th of May, it looks like. So even if you hear this after this show posts, as long as it's before the 12th of May, please head over to BritishPodcastAwards.com/vote and you can help this show out. And without further ado, let's get right into the continuation of this discussion with the Airship Ambassador and Steil. So cool. Okay, the Steampunk Museum. I was blown away. I've known about your other resources, but this was absolutely new to me. So total benefit of doing this interview with you. Once I went into that world, so it's an online museum, and it's just this amazing curation of all these, they have different floors and exhibits and stuff, and it's really fun. So can you talk to us about that and maybe let us know if there's any vision for the future, any direction you're going in?
Sure. So it's another thing that just sort of came out of nowhere for me. It's like, oh, here's a great idea. Let's work on it.
Yeah.
Like, sure, why not? I don't have any time. We can do it.
Right.
And but it became important for me as information, as an information junkie who wanted to share, that I wanted to start documenting all the people and the events and the things, the artifacts within our community while they're happening and capture our history now. Partly for reference, because our memories can be a little fallible, but also for steampunks who are coming after us. Like, here's kind of how it started. Here's all the people that were involved. This is how it got to be where you are right now. And that's what I was envisioning with it, is that it could actually be a museum of all the stuff in our community. And I will say it takes a lot of time. That it's a lot of research to then go write up something about a person or a thing and try to capture it. And so doing the description of what somebody's done, how did they get there, and then something else personal about them. And then kind of all the links to their stuff, not all of them, but many of their interviews or the books that they've written. And so everything is kind of interlinked in there. And that was a big thing. I just wanted to capture that while it happens. But great fun, reconnecting with some people and then connecting with new people that we probably know of each other, but we've never talked formally. And maybe in a way this gives me an in to say, hey, how are you? This is what I want to do. And that's been great fun to make those connections with people, but to have all of the data out there and available for everybody else in the community. And I guess looking forward, I want to do more of it and capture more as time allows, or get help to help me do it. But also to work with teachers in the classrooms who may be using steampunk as a theme to help communicate whatever their lesson is, or use it as an example. And that one idea is that the museum could then be a resource for those teachers and the students to go to refer to and say, and I think especially for the students learning how to document their sources. And hey, here's a steampunk museum and here's how things work. And so that's what I'm thinking of going forward with it, but just kind of more of everything that's in our community.
Yeah. And I saw your tweet about that this week. Anybody who's not following Airship Ambassador on Twitter, you should, because he's just constantly sharing everything that he's working on. And I really enjoyed it. So thank you for that.
The social media feed is great fun. That I've cut back a little bit, but I think I'm still sharing something every hour, something in the community that's going on. And because there's so much to share and so many interesting things. So I'm glad that people enjoy it and appreciate it and are getting something out of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And especially since Kevin's a true curator, it's really a great way to get some good quality steampunk recommendations. And on that note, what recent steampunk books can you recommend? Recent-ish, doesn't have to be totally recent.
Yeah. So right behind me are at least 3 bookcases of all steampunk books. And it's starting to be a little overflowing. I'll have to clean out some of the shelves below and make more room. And then there's more electronic books, but lots and lots of books. And for a while, it seemed like some of the books were in a lull, that there weren't as many coming out. But in the last 6 months to a year, there's been more books. And I know there's many more books coming this year, especially from Tor. And so one of those Tor books from last year is Nisi Shaw's Everfair.
Oh, so good.
This one's really good. Nice kind of multicultural, non-England setting book. And has gotten great reviews. And we did a wonderful interview. Nisi's just a great person to chat with. Another one, this is an anthology from a few years ago called Steampunk World. Steampunk Universe, which follows on, just came out a week or two ago.
Okay.
So early January by the time this goes out. But good anthology here. And the artwork, just to highlight it, by James Ng.
Oh, it's cool.
Who does a lot of Chinese steampunk.
Yeah.
And speaking of James, here's another one of his artworks.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Yeah. Shanghai Steam. So it takes place all in Eastern countries. So this one's been very entertaining to read as well. Let's see. Maurice Brodas did Buffalo Soldier.
Yeah.
That one I've enjoyed quite a bit. With one of my other projects, Steampunk Hands Around the World, after the first year, a group of the people that wrote blog posts for that all got together because they were all authors, and they put together a book called Steampunk Writers Around the World. And so that was released, I think, last summer. So this has been very entertaining. One thing with this book is that half the stories are in English and half are in Spanish, reflecting kind of the international flavor of steampunk, the steampunk community, and steampunk hands around the world.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's a lot to pull off as an editing team and everything. That's
cool. Was, yeah. Luna Publishing or Luna Press did an amazing job getting it together. And it was quite a process to get everybody together, get them on board, and kind of like the entertainment industry, putting together a book, even just a single novel, takes forever. There's the writing part, there's the editing part, there's the re-editing, and then finally getting it scheduled against all the other books going out to be released. And so this book also moved pretty quick. I think it was 2 years, maybe start to finish, which is kind of quick for a book. But yeah, it turned out really well. And so I was very happy to be part of it and happy that Steampunk Hands Around the World was an inspiration for it.
Okay, now, does this mean you have a story in there? Were you part of that or a different part of the production?
A different part of the production. So I didn't write any stories, but I did write the foreword for it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. And it was great to kind of talk about a global community and how we all come together and have our friendships and our connections and relationships, and that steampunk is truly a global thing.
Yes.
So it was great. And it was great to see how a totally unintended consequence of the original blogathon happened, and how those people just came together and was like, hey, let's do this together. I'm like, well, that sounds cool.
I totally love that. And yes, I want to talk more about the blogathon because it's such an amazing concept, steampunk hands around the world and uniting all these different areas and different chapters of different groups and just unifying. I love it. So can you share the journey of organizing that? Is it the 5th year in 2018? This
will be the 5th year, 2018, our fifth event. And again, there was no plan. It was just the tiniest of ideas. And it started from a conversation that I had with one of the authors in the book, Josu Ramos, that over in Spain. And we were just chatting one day back and forth. And we had been in touch from blogs and websites and stuff. And we were just chatting, just regular nothing stuff. And at some point I thought, this is so cool. The first technology is enabling us to talk real time around the world, basically. And that we can share something and have developed this friendship over a couple years. And I was just so happy and excited about that and about that friendship that I wanted to really share it with the rest of the community. And I thought, I think I could write a blog about how steampunk is global, and there's all these friends that I've made that even though I haven't met them in person, but we're still friends and we talk all the time. And then I thought, maybe I can get a couple people, maybe 10 to write a blog, and we could all blog the same day, and that would be cool. And all on this theme. And then it blew up as I started contacting people. Lots of people wanted to be involved, and it wound up being a month-long blogathon that first year. in 2014, and lots of people participated, and we all just wanted to highlight the best things about the community around the world. And I think another aspect for me was to show people that steampunk isn't just their local community or their region, or even just the one convention they may go to, but that it's everywhere, and it really is around the world. And if they were to travel anywhere, they're going to find a steampunk group to go visit and go do something with. And actually that is our theme this year, is Steampunk Road Trip.
Oh, cool. I love it.
Yeah. So there have been other themes over the years, and last year was how steampunk makes life better in different ways, and the benefits of steampunk in our own individual lives. And now this year, we're going to hit the road in the air and go visit groups and events around the whole world. And so that everybody can see what's going on and hear about it more than just my news feed or the event calendar that's on the website. But they can actually get a feel for what is that event. And if they wanted to travel somewhere, maybe they gear their travel to go to the convention as well, or that event. And so one of the things that I would love to do in talking with Hosu is there's European SteamCon, which is a multi-city, multi-day, even multi-weekend event, so that every city will have their own event, but they do it together under this one banner umbrella.
Cool.
And I'd say the people in Spain throw a pretty good party. One of the years that they did their event, they had a webcam going on and showing what was going on that night. So when I got up and I was having my breakfast, they were already starting to party late afternoon, early evening. And it was just fun to watch and vicariously be part of the event. But it looked like a whole lot of fun. So that is definitely one of the places I want to visit as soon as I can fit in the budget and fly over there and see it.
Oh, yeah.
But
so cool. So now if anyone wants to connect with, maybe they're watching this after this year's Steampunk Hands Around the World, or maybe they want to connect with the past convention, or the past, I'm calling it a convention. I guess it is kind of like an online convention, but it's a blogathon. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If people want to connect with those entries, those blogs, is there a place where they can go?
The best place is to go to the airshipambassador.com website, and there will be some links in there to the previous years that'll highlight the official link list and some of the posts that I put out. And then each year's link list will have all the participating blogs for that year. So they'll be on my website, the Airship Ambassador blogging website, as well as everybody else's website from around the world.
Oh, so
that's the best place to go. That from the Airship Ambassador site, it'll lead out to everything else, including the Steampunk Museum, which is the steampunkmuseum.com.
Oh, so cool. So lots of places where you can connect with this. And if anybody wants to participate, is it open, or do you curate it so that you can better, manage it, or how does that work?
It's pretty open, that I send people details and guidelines of what I'm looking for in the blogs and the theme. So I'll send that to them, so they can just reach out to me at kevin@airshipambassador.com and let me know that they're interested in participating. If not this year, then next year. And then I'll send them the details, keep them on the list, and then see what they come up with. So it's always fun to get new people in and new perspectives, as well as all the other people who have participated as well.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, as we record this, so it is the beginning of 2018, which means this is coming up in a few weeks, but this may post, you may be hearing it after this, like Kevin said, but it makes me think about, where is steampunk going, and where would you like to see it go in 2018 and beyond?
Oh, gosh. So I think, like any group, steampunk kind of waxes and wanes, and it'll rise in popularity and it ebbs and flows, and people get really involved, and then priorities change or interests change, that kind of thing. Or we just get busy with other things. But then there's always new people that come along and find it's like, this is amazing, and I never knew about it, and then they get involved. And so there's a constant influx of people coming into the group, which is great to see. There's definitely more books coming out this year. So all those books have been in the works for a couple years, given that production cycle, but there's many more books coming out. And my thought is also that steampunk as a genre isn't grabbing the headlines in the news like it used to, where it was always the next big thing and that kind of thing. But I do see still a lot of news articles about the aesthetic being used in more public places, restaurants and pubs, and there was a chocolate store and a candy store, an ice cream shop, and they all either redecorated or opened to begin with a steampunk theme in mind. And that's been really cool to see. Disney, I suppose in a way, Disney's always been steampunk. In some aspects. And so they've got a big shop there, and I'm blanking on the name, but
I don't know it either, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, and I even blogged about it. It's totally cool, but there's a lot out there that's still using steampunk, so it's still happening. It still captures people's attention. Designers are still using it. It's influencing a lot of things, even just color palettes. Cookware, bakeware, there's a lot more copper out there. I mean, copper's always been good for cooking and baking, but now there seems to be a real resurgence and emphasis on that kind of steampunk color palette that's out there. So I think it's still going, even though we don't have the headlines. And I think people are still doing things. Sometimes it seems like some of the conventions, they still have their attendance, but it's a different group of people sometimes. And I think people are just deciding how right now in varying economic times, how do they want to spend their money? How do they want to spend their time? But still a lot of conventions. I think there's still 35 to 40 conventions around the world, still doing pretty well. There's new conventions that pop up every year that I'm always adding to the list. In fact, this year, I think there's at least five new conventions that I know about.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah. So things are still happening. It's still rolling along. Lots of people are still interested. And so I think that's what I expect to see the rest of this year, that it would be great to see people be involved and do things and talk about them. That, if somebody did a steampunk themed dinner party, I would love to hear about it. And if they wanted to do a blog, I'd be happy to post it on the website and share it out and say, here's what people around the world are doing with their groups or their friends, or just what are they doing individually. And I think sharing that with other people would be pretty amazing. There's so much creativity going on. I'm constantly inspired by everything, and knowing I can't do a lot of it. I like fashion, but I can't. So if I could nail or staple or glue it, then maybe it would work. But
then it'd be good. Yeah.
But some people just have amazing visions of creativity, and how they pull it off is just stunning and so impressive. So I expect to see more of that this year.
Okay, so you heard what Kevin said. Don't be shy. If you have things going on, please email him.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Kevin at airshipambassador.com. And it would be great to hear what people are doing and see what's going on in every community around the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, on that note, how have you been able to overcome language barriers as you work with people from around the world?
So Google Translate is a big part of it. So Facebook has built-in translation now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So in some places it's automatic. Sometimes it's still a clickable link. And there's still a few spots where I'd have to copy and paste something into another translator program. But that's been a major help in staying on top of what somebody's saying and what they're talking about, and then being able to share that with others. There's actually, I think it's from Google also, there's real-time voice translation that's going on.
Yeah.
So I haven't used it yet, but I'm looking forward to it because that seems amazingly cool.
Totally cool. And I bring it up because I don't want people to feel this perceived barrier, because it's really broken down at this point.
It really is. And that's one thing with Steampunk Hands around the world, that I wanted to make sure everybody could participate and everybody can read, so that if somebody's writing, I didn't want them to feel like they had to write in English for an English-speaking audience. That you write in your native language, and then we can use Google Translate, or if they're comfortable translating into English too, that's great. But that was not a requirement. I just want you to write something. in your own language, and then we'll find ways for other people to read it and enjoy it as well. And so I always put in those links to the translator tools on the different platforms in Steampunk Hands, so that language is not a barrier, that technology has made sure that distance isn't a barrier, and now technology is making sure that language isn't a barrier either. So we should be able to communicate with each other anywhere in the world about anything, even if we natively speak different languages.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so cool. Well, this has been super inspiring for me because it's a great reminder of everything that's possible. I love that you talked about so many parts of the community, from makers to writers. We didn't talk about music very much. Do you have any insights on music?
There's a lot of music groups out there. I think most people probably know about Abney Park. They're probably the biggest, best well-known group. Lots of other groups that are smaller. They may not travel as much. They don't get as much publicity. And there seems to be new groups all the time. There was just a new one that popped up in my news feed this week that I hadn't heard of before. And because I need to know everything, that I went and started to look them up. It's like, all right, how do I put them in the news feed and let everybody else know that they're out there, and just make sure things are available for people to go find them. But yeah, there are a lot of different music groups, and just like the music of the 1800s, there's music of all kinds. There's sort of a classical sounding group, up to something that sounds more modern, but they're telling a steampunk story. So there's just all kinds of things out there for music.
Yeah, I discover new stuff all the time. I had no idea about Steampunk Giraffe, and it's huge.
They're huge, yep.
Yeah, and it's just weird what you don't know is going on. And I've noticed you have a YouTube channel called AATV, so Airship Ambassador TV, right?
Exactly, yep.
I've seen some music on there and some videos and stuff.
Right, and so over the years with that, I've been going out and finding all the steampunk videos that I wanted to share. And kind of the same idea as the website, that here's all this information, but it's on YouTube. And that's been fun to find more and more and more, and see what does YouTube offer as other links that I'd like to share with people. But also when people send me a link, it's like, oh, have you seen this video? And that can be really cool. Or then subscribe to somebody and follow a long series of things. So there've been a number of web series over the years where from different fan groups that have put together something, and League of Steam is probably pretty well known to most people, that they did several seasons of videos. And those are kind of fun to watch. And so there's always something to share, and I try to break it up into different categories, if it's books or movies or the conventions or a documentary, and something like the Vintage Tomorrows, or just things. Public television has done a number of documentaries over the years, and that's been fun to see, and then still be able to share with people as part of a background about how did we get here. And this is how it works.
Yeah, and then I know we're just getting into all the little parts of steampunk, but also gamers. There's some really cool steampunk games. I know of some that are coming up. And then there's actually an expansion pack for the Airship Ambassador, and that's for Twisted Skies. So
Twisted Skies, right? And I don't know how well this is going to show up. See if I can get it out of the case. But yeah, so a friend of mine had done a steampunk card game called Twisted Skies, and he had already done the base pack and a couple expansions based on TeslaCon was one, and there's a couple groups that had one. And as we were talking, it's like, oh, here I have a whole bunch of ideas of what this Airship Ambassador would do. Sort of a little Jean-Luc Picard, a little James Bond. And I said, so how many cards would be in a set? And he gave me some number. I was like, I could do that. And like within an hour had come up with like 80 or 90 different cards. I was like, here, I don't know if you want to do it. And,
I just put this together.
But I just put this thing together, and, because I had time and I couldn't stop thinking. But so he went and created the Airship Ambassador expansion pack for.
Oh, so cool. Thank you.
And it was great fun that even when Jim Trent, who put it together, created and sent me the rough draft, it's like, okay, here's what I've whipped together. I'm like, oh, it was amazing. I mean, just to see it come together and so quickly, and that they're cards that can be used within the base game. And it's pretty fun. It was really neat to see it all come together.
You know what Kevin's super good at? Working with other creators in building community. And it's cool because he has these ideas and then he gets to see them come into play and be manifest. And that's something we can do as creators. We can reach out and it just makes our art more exciting, more fun.
Exactly. And that, I think one thing I've realized with all the projects I do is that I can't do it all on my own, that almost everything needs other people to be involved and be part of it and have the same vision or a similar idea of what we'd like to accomplish together, which is, I think, a good aspect of the steampunk community, that we come together, share a common interest. We all know different things, we do different things, but then we all join in and help each other to do those same things. If it's making a prop or design or something, but it's not just, yes, I made this thing and I'm going to keep all the knowledge for myself, but that we want to share with each other. We want other people to do things and then express their own creativity in their own way with that knowledge as well. And
yes, it's awesome.
It's pretty amazing. It's a really great community. I'm so proud and happy to be part of the community with all these wonderful people and the creativity, the expressions, and just what people do. It's been so much great fun for me.
Spoken like a true ambassador. So we'll just end there. But first, I want you to tell everyone one last time where they can connect with you.
Sure. The best place to connect first would be airshipambassador.com. And from there, there's links out to the social media feeds on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. There's a link out to the blog site, which is where I do most of the interviews and press releases and such. There's probably a link out to the steampunkmuseum.com. And then there'll definitely be links for Steampunk Hands Around the World for the official link list for every year that's out there.
Oh, so cool. Well, thank you again. And it's just been wonderful to have you. Have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend.
Great. Thank you so much. It was great fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay, such a fun conversation with Kevin, and we've been talking for a long time. So I will just remind you that you can please check out my latest and greatest, the opportunities to beta read or read for free. You can find those at cindygrigg.com, CINDYGRIGG.com. You'll find steampunk, mannerpunk, decopunk, and maybe other punks in the future. So I look forward to our next episode. It's going to be a great one. And in the meantime, good luck with everything you're working on. It's so great to have you here. And don't be shy about leaving reviews on iTunes and other places. It really helps me. It really helps other people find the show. And that's what it's all about. So we can hear more about what's going on and not be like, what? That exists or whatever. So it's all about connecting to different ideas as creators and readers and people that are just cool enough to love this stuff. Okay, that's it. Have a wonderful week.